Hello everyone, today we will talk about China's changing tides, 8 shifts reshaping society and economy. And I will also take you a tour, so I take some videos about on the way when the people they go to work, yes, on their way, and you can do the sightseeing of the real China's society to see how does it look like, the real China society, the surroundings. Okay, so let's talk about some potential changes happening in Chinese society. I recently came across an article predicting 8 major shifts that might occur in the next 2 years. While this is just one perspective, let's examine if these predictions have any merit and if they are truly possible. First, let's discuss housing prices. The article suggests a slow decline in price, but is this really a prediction? It's already happening. If this was forecasted 3 years ago, it would be impressive, but now it's just stating the obvious. Honestly, the chances of housing price rising in the next year or two are slim to none. The reason is simple. There's an oversupply of unsold properties in many areas, and people's desire to buy homes has significantly decreased. However, when it comes to buying a house, I've always said it depends on individuals' circumstances. Don't just follow what others are doing. If you have money and have an immediate need, like for your child's education or marriage, then go ahead and buy. Although prices might fall, it's better to have a property than watch your money dwindles away. But whatever you do, you don't borrow money from everyone you know, and take out a huge mortgage. Over leveraging can be fatal. Now let's talk about renting. The article predicts an increase in rentals because many people feel it's not the right time to buy. Instead of putting down a large down payment, they'd rather spend a few thousand yuan a year to rent a well-decorated apartment. This trend is even spreading among young couples. This makes sense. If people are hesitant to buy, they have to rent, right? But don't assume this means rent will go up. In fact, rent might stabilize or even decrease. Why? Because when housing prices fall, more properties become available for rent. Previously, when prices were rising rapidly, many landlords didn't bother rent out their properties, thinking they could profit from appreciation alone. Now it's different with prices falling and the properties are not selling. Many landlords have no choice but to rent out their properties. Supply has increased while demand has decreased. So in many places, properties can't even find tenants, and those that do are renting at lower prices. Let's move on to car prices. This is easy to understand. The automobile industry is in a race to the bottom. Many raw material prices are also falling, and even BMW is selling at half price. Whether it's new energy vehicles or traditional cars, they are all engaged in price war. Now let's look at the employment situation. Nowadays, graduates are facing unemployment right after graduation, and the employment statistics from universities are probably not very reliable. What we are seeing is that it's becoming increasingly difficult for young people to find a job. Many have no choice but to pursue postgraduate studies or try for civil service position. Even after getting a master's degree, if they still can't find a job, they might go for doctorate. This isn't because they love studying, it's out of necessity. It's not just the high-end, high-paying industries that are struggling. Even assembly line jobs are decreasing. Construction work has also decreased, and the migrant workers can't earn money. Despite the government introducing many policies to promote employment, the effects have been minimal. Companies are facing a winter period, and they are doing well if they can avoid layoffs. In this situation, people are becoming more conscious about saving money. With a poor economy situation and increasing difficulty in finding job, more and more young people are consciously saving for monies themselves. The Moonlight Clan, people who spend their entire monthly salary that we used to see, often seems to be disappearing. Remember, when young people would buy the latest iPhone, even if their salary was low, various internet finance platforms like Huabei and Jebei online lending services emerged during that time. Young people weren't just spending all their income, they were borrowing to consume. Why? Because jobs were easy to come by then, and they were full of confidence about the future. Everything they bought seemed to increase in value. Buying a house could net you $1,000,000 profit in the second year. But now it's different. Young people can't find a job. They don't see hope, and many are forced to rely on their parents. Young people's income can't even match their parents' retirement pensions. It's completely inverted. They are afraid of buying anything. Buying a house might trap them, and they could end up in debt. So we can see from bank saving rates that residents' bank deposits are hitting record high, and the depositors are getting younger. Speaking of this, I remember calling out 2 years ago, saving in the bank. So when Evergrande collapsed, I kept saying to save in the bank. I advise people to take out all their wealth and management products and pay off their mortgages and put the remaining money in the bank. People can deceive you, but don't let them deceive your money. Next, let's talk about marriage and the birth rate. With a poor economic situation, a low desired lifestyle is spreading. This is common in Japan, and now it's appearing among young people in China. The typical characteristics are rejecting marriage, rejecting childbirth, and living alone. Now we are seeing more and more posts and videos on social media platforms promoting not getting married and not having children, which indeed reflect the changing attitude of young people. It's hard to judge this as right or wrong. Young people are increasingly anxious and confused, faced with great uncertainty. Asking them to get married and have children is very different from 40 years ago. In the past agriculture society, people were labor, they were assets. The cost of raising a person was low, and there weren't many requirements. But now it's different. People have become a burden. Raising a child from birth to college graduation costs at least hundreds of thousands, if not millions of yuan. Raising children now isn't just about feeding them. Attitudes have changed. In this situation, how can you ask young people to prepare for marriage and children when they can't even support themselves? It costs several thousand yuan a month just to raise a child. A decent kindergarten costs 6,000 or 7,000 yuan a month, and various interest classes and tutoring can cost hundreds per hour. The key is that even after graduating from university, they might not be able to find a job. You invest millions, and there might not be any return. So it's completely understandable that some people choose not to have children or get married. Being single suddenly seems quite nice. You can travel whenever you want, and there's less pressure. If you want to get married and have children, you first need to buy a house, which is another problem. With rising child rearing costs and young people's income become increasingly unstable. How can you keep encouraging young people to have 2 or 3 children? Being single might mean a comfortable life, but getting married and having children might push you into poverty. Now let's talk about the phenomenon of returning to village. In the past, people moved from a rural area to the city, but now it's the reverse. Many people are moving back to rural areas from cities. Don't say they are not trying hard enough. Young people can't find jobs in the city. Expenses are high and the pressure is great. Returning to rural area at least means lower costs. They have their own houses and don't need to pay rent, so the pressure is immediately reduced. It's also normal for older people to return to rural area. Those who used to work on construction sites or as domestic helpers can find jobs now. Young families with children are taking care of the children themselves instead of hiring nannies. These people are forced to return to rural areas because they can't find work in the city. This is why we see old men and women in Henan province competing with harvesters for potatoes and corn in the field. We didn't see this phenomenon a few years ago. Why? Because these people were all working in the cities, whether as nannies, domestic helpers, or construction workers, earning 100 or 200 yuan a day. Now, picking potatoes and corn in the fields earns them less than 20 yuan a day. If they could find a job in the city paying 3,000 yuan a month, they wouldn't go back to compete with harvesters. Finally, let's talk about the phenomenon of rehiring retirees. On one hand, young people can't find jobs. On the other hand, older people who have reached retirement age are being rehired and returning to work. How common this phenomenon is, I can't say for sure. It probably varies by companies and individuals. Some companies are used to certain employees. Some positions require experience, and they don't want changes. So when these people reach retirement age and retire, they are rehired to continue working, maintaining stability. But overall, I think companies still prefer to hire young people, which is why it's harder to find a job if they are over 35. The rehiring of older people might be related to specific positions rather than the overall employment environment. Speaking of this, I'm reminded of an article I saw saying that unemployment people in Shanghai have 3 treasures: libraries, Bilibili, a video sharing website, and computers. Of course, these are the author's perspective preferences. They like going to library, using Bilibili, and using computers. Young people today might be different. Fewer use computers except for gaming. Most use smartphones, and fewer to go libraries. Unemployment is okay at first, but as time goes on, families' conflicts emerge. Your family's tolerance for you gradually decreased to the lowest point, and critically, you can't tolerate yourself becoming an idle person without a sense of a purpose. Many young unemployment people not wanting to worry their families leave home on time every day and returning punctually as if they are still working. Why? They don't want relatives and neighbors to worry, and they are afraid of becoming increasingly anxious themselves. But I think if you are unemployed, you should be straightforward about it. There's no need to hide it. Hiding it will exhaust you. Living completely in other shadows, under others' opinions, is very sad. If you are unemployed, just say it. I'm not happy. I fired my boss. Now I'm resulting at home. If someone worries about you, let them introduce you to a job or give you some financial support. If they can't help, they shouldn't worry needlessly. If you are doing fine, don't be afraid of what the neighbors might say. If you are unemployed, do what you want to do. You have plenty of time now. You can do things you wanted to do. If you want to read. If you want to exercise. So socialize if you want. If you want, drink if you want. Don't feel like you are committed a great sin just because you are unemployed. Like society has abandoned you. This mindset is wrong. The more unemployed you are, the more stable you need to do. Don't like a downing person grasping at straws, treating everything as a lifesaver. That's how you get deceived. How you get deceived. And one mistake leads to another. Many people are unemployed now. If you become unemployed, it's a good chance to rest and adjust. If you are really bored, you can improve your skills in a certain area, find your strengths. No matter how society changes in the future, it's becoming more and more competitive, pressure is increasing, and things seem to be getting harder. But no matter how difficult it gets, we need to adjust our mindset and face it. Positively. In this society, the only constant is change. Alright, that's all for our today's sharing. If you like my sharing, please subscribe and share and leave your comments if you like. See you next time. Bye bye.